Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, personally I think that we should not waste too many words on this motion. And why? Because I think that everybody can feel, and even the spokesman of the ECR can feel, that it is nothing more than a little game played by the two groups, the EFDD of Mr. Farage and the group of Mrs. Le Pen. And I understand this game. It's a game that's normal in politics, I should say, based on what I call a perverted logic. Because it's perverted, this logic of this motion. Because what they want is that we should already judge on LuxLeaks before the investigations by the Commission and by the Parliament. And that's not serious at all. Now to come forward with a motion at the moment when we ask to the Commission to look into that matters, and when we are really just before establishing a parliamentary committee. What is that for a nonsense to start then with a motion of censure before we have even started to investigate in it? And for me, Mr. President, I have to tell you, the only interesting thing about this motion is not the content of this motion, is the fact that finally, I should say, Mr. Farage and Mrs. Le Pen are now finally outing their hidden relationship. That is the most important thing about this motion. Their hidden relationship. That they follow, in fact, the same populist strategy, and that was the contrary what Mr. Farage said to his voters in Britain. And indeed, it's proof of the fact that UKIP is a hideous, racist, xenophobic, wait, it's not finished, I have not finished, an Islamophobic thing. And that are not my words, it are the words that are not my words, these are the words of the founder of UKIP, Mr. Alan Scott himself. So, in my opinion, your group, and I say that to Mr. Zanni, is in fact not at all interested in clarifying or solving international tax avoidance. And I find it very strange that Mr. Zanni is pointing the finger to us. Clean up your own house, Mr. Zanni, because one of the big specialists of all this is Mr. Farage. It's he who has an offshore tax scheme in the islands of Man. So clean up your own house. And I should in fact say the same thing to Mrs. Le Pen, because in a few minutes we shall have the fury of Mrs. Le Pen here coming over this house again. And in fact, she borrows money from Dutchy Russian banks to finance her political action. Nobody else does that. So I believe that the reality, and Mr. Weber has already indicated that, he has said really true things. She and you, Mr. Farage, are against Europe, and it's not by this way that we shall have more European cooperation. So my conclusion is very simple. Let's go back to work and let's vote against Thursday against this stupid motion. Thank you.